You ready to talk TVs? We're diving into the world of OLED TVs today. Specifically, three 65-inch models that seem to be on everyone's minds. The LG C4, the LG G4, and the Samsung S90D.
And we're going to break down the tech, the features, all of it, so you can figure out which one's actually right for you.
Exactly. No more feeling overwhelmed by specs.
Okay.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of each model, let's talk OLED in general. I always think of it like, instead of having one big backlight, each pixel is like its own little light bulb.
Perfect analogy. And because those pixels can turn completely off, like completely dark, you get those incredible black levels that OLED is famous for. And then when you combine that with the brightness, the contrast is just, well, it's really something else.
Yeah, you can really tell the difference when you're watching like a nature documentary or something with a lot of detail in the shadows.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to talk about HDR. Everyone's talking about HDR these days. How does OLED play into that whole world?
So HDR is all about that expanded range of colors and brightness. Basically, it's trying to get closer to the way our eyes see the world. And because OLED starts with those perfect blacks, it's like the perfect canvas for HDR content.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying that it's not just about seeing more colors, it's about those colors looking more, I don't know, lifelike, more like how we actually see them.
Exactly. It's about realism and creating a more immersive experience.
Okay, I'm convinced. OLED it is. But now the real question, say, C4, G4, or S90D. Let's start with the LG C4. It seems to be the crowd favorite when it comes to value.
Yeah, the C4 is a great entry point. It uses LG's processor from last year, but it still holds its own.
So you're saying I can still get that premium OLED experience without breaking the bank. I like the sound of that. What about the G4? What makes that one stand out?
Well, the G4 is where LG introduces this MLA technology, and it's kind of a big deal.
MLA technology. Hit me with it. What is that?
So MLA stands for micro lens array, and it's essentially about boosting brightness. LG puts these tiny, and I mean tiny, lenses over each pixel, and they focus the light emitted, which leads to a brighter picture overall.
So instead of that light getting trapped somewhere inside the TV, it's directed right at my eyeballs. I'm following you.
Precisely. And then on top of that, the G4 has LG's brand new Alpha 11 chip, their most powerful processor yet.
Okay, so we're talking even better upscaling, smoother motion, the whole package. All right, G4 sounding pretty impressive, but we can't forget about Samsung. They've always got something up their sleeve. What's the story with the S90D and this QD OLED I keep seeing everywhere?
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. Samsung's QD OLED is a different approach to OLED. Instead of those white subpixels that LG uses, they use blue OLEDs.
Blue OLEDs. Okay, I'm listening.
And they use a layer of quantum dots. Those things are tiny particles that emit different colors depending on how much energy they have. But basically, it allows the S90D to create really pure, accurate colors, and it can get much brighter, too.
Hold on. So brighter colors and more accurate colors. That's like the best of both worlds, right?
You got it. And actually, speaking of color accuracy, you know those Pantone color guides?
Yeah, of course.
Well, the S90D boasts Pantone-validated colors, which means that what you see on the screen is going to be a super accurate representation of the original content.
So if a director intended for a scene to have a specific shade of red, I'm going to see that exact shade.
You got it. That's the idea.
Wow, okay. So we've got LG bringing the brightness and Samsung promising incredible color. This is going to be a tough decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of OLED and met our contenders. But how do they actually perform when it comes to specific things like gaming?
These TVs are definitely up for the challenge. We're talking smooth graphics, super fast response times, the works. They've got all the features a game could want.
Okay, I like where this is going. Break it down for me. What about refresh rates and input lag, all that good stuff?
So refresh rate first. All three TVs have a 120 hertz refresh rate, so that means the screen can display 120 frames per second.
And for someone who doesn't spend all their time thinking about TVs, what does that actually mean for me when I'm playing a game?
It means smoother motion, especially in fast-paced games. No more choppy frame rates, no matter how intense things get.
Okay, I can definitely get behind that. What about the S90D? It's rocking that 144 hertz refresh rate, right?
Right, but only on those 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. Keep that in mind.
Good to know. Okay, next up, input lag. Gamers are always talking about input lag, and for good reason. What's the deal with these TVs?
Input lag is that tiny delay between like when you hit a button on your controller and when you actually see the action happen on screen. And you want that delay to be basically non-existent.
Especially for those like hair trigger moments where you need to react super fast.
Exactly. And all three of these TVs do a great job of minimizing that lag so you can game with confidence knowing your TV's keeping up.
Perfect. Now, VRR, variable refresh rate, that's another one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot. What is that all about?
So VRR is there to eliminate screen tearing. Basically, it syncs the refresh rate of the TV with the frame rate of whatever you're playing, whether it's a console or a PC.
And screen tearing is like when the picture kind of like splits for a second. I've definitely seen that happen before.
Exactly. Super annoying, and VRR makes sure that doesn't happen.
Very cool. It also looks like all three TVs support ALM.
Yep. Auto low latency mode. So your TV's smart enough to know when you've switched over to gaming, and it'll automatically adjust the settings to give you the best possible performance.
Less for me to think about. I like it. Now, beyond those core features, are there any other gaming-specific bells and whistles that these TVs offer?
The LG C4 and G4 both have this game optimizer menu where you can like tweak all the gaming settings in one place.
So I can fine-tune things like black level and input lag to my liking?
Yeah. And there are even picture modes that are optimized for specific game genres.
Oh, that's cool. So if I'm playing a first-person shooter, I could switch to a mode that prioritizes speed and responsiveness. And then if I'm playing a more story-driven game, I could choose a mode that enhances the details and colors.
You got it. And then on the Samsung side, you've got the Gaming Hub.
Okay, tell me about the Gaming Hub. What is that all about?
It's kind of a central hub for everything gaming related. You can access cloud gaming services like GeForce Now or Xbox Cloud Gaming, so you can even play games without owning a console.
That's pretty cool, like having a whole arcade right there in your living room.
And the Gaming Hub also has some unique features, like a virtual aim point that can help with accuracy in first-person shooters.
Nice. Okay, so it's sounding like no matter which TV I choose, gaming is going to be a pretty epic experience.
Absolutely.
But, gaming isn't the only thing I do with my TV. I do enjoy a good movie marathon every now and then. What's the streaming situation like on these OLED wonders?
Well, let's dive into what people are actually saying about the Samsung S90D, shall we? We've got a whole document here filled with user reviews so we can see how it performs in the real world, not just in the lab.
All right, let's talk about what really matters. What are people saying about the S90D once they get it home?
Yeah, user reviews are super valuable because they give you a sense of, the day-to-day experience of actually living with the TV.
Exactly. Like, how does it hold up in a bright room? Or is the smart TV interface actually easy to use? That kind of stuff. So what's the overall consensus? What are S90D owners saying?
Well, one thing that really jumps out is how much people love the picture quality, like really love it. Especially with nature documentaries, people say it's like looking through a window. It's that realistic.
Which makes sense, right? We've talked about how those quantum dots help create super vibrant and accurate colors. And when you're watching something like a nature doc, that's where that really shines.
Absolutely. And all that talk about Pantone validated colors, users definitely notice that. They talk about the color accuracy being amazing, which contributes to that sense of realism.
Yeah, because no one wants a TV that makes everything look like cartoonish.
Exactly. And speaking of things that matter, brightness seems to be another big win for the S90D. A lot of people with bright living rooms mention how well it handles glare and reflections.
Again, makes sense. That blue OLED technology Samsung is using really pumps up the brightness. Now, no TV is perfect. There are always trade-offs. Were there any consistent complaints or issues that came up in the reviews?
Yeah, there were a handful of people who mentioned occasional frame stuttering.
Frame stuttering. Okay, break that down for me. What does that even mean?
It's basically when, the picture stutters for a second or skips a frame, kind of like what you'd see with a scratched DVD, but usually not as bad. It's often caused by internet connection issues, or sometimes it's just a software glitch.
So more of an annoyance than a deal breaker.
Exactly. And a lot of times a simple software update can fix it.
Got it. Good to know. So we've got three amazing TVs here: LG C4, LG G4, Samsung S90D, each one with its own personality, strengths, and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, how do you actually choose?
Right. Well, I always say, think about what's important to you. If you're all about that Dolby Vision and you need something budget-friendly, the LG C4 is going to be a solid choice. If brightness is your #1 priority, then go for the LG G4 with that micro lens array technology it really delivers. And if you want the absolute best color accuracy and you're willing to spend a little extra for it, The Samsung S90D with that QD OLED technology, that's your winner.
That is some solid advice.
Yeah.
I think we've done it. We've gone from completely overwhelmed by OLED to ready to pick a winner.
That's what we like to hear.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this OLED deep dive. Now go forth and choose your perfect TV.